Are you also fasting, Sylvia?
Yes.
You are?
I went to sleep during the breakfast,
Uh-huh.
but I think it was not a good idea because the alarm just rang when I was sleeping in my deep sleep. I think I was
No.
dreaming and I felt worse now than before. After the prostrations, I was feeling more energetic, went to sleep.
Yeah.
When we had lunch, she looked so happy when she came from Brazil.
Right. Now it's like,
Now miserable.
yeah. Yeah. Yes. She looked recharged. Okay, last day, you think there's gonna be new people? Hard to
Today
say.
is Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah, it's true, huh?
Is the same in Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's true. It's same in the US.
So people might go like have lunch with their
Ah.
mother. So probably less people.
Okay, okay.
But it's just lunch anyway, for most of us. It's just have a lunch, iPhone, whatever.
Right, right.
And then they might come
Mm.
after. Not really sure.
Mm.
I don't know. Aren't you a mother too?
Yes. Send a message.
Okay.
Actually, in the meantime, I have a question.
Yes.
When we did the one in Bali, there's a phrase that says return your life to Guanyin. What does it mean to return life?
Is it the 知心归
Yeah,
命
yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I know what it says in Chinese. The 归命, returning your life. I think it's more going back to your original self, but then they did the direct translation of returning your life. So in English, it sounds like returning your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a translation issue. Yeah. So it's more returning to your original self and then bow down to Guanyin. Yeah. Yeah, going back.
Not give it back.
Right. The word in Chinese is return.
And so there's also the zhi. This is the same like zhi, gui, yiming. And so if we take refuge, like if we say we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, it's also the zhi in the beginning, right?
The gui is kind of different than that gui. It's two different Chinese characters. Sounds exactly the same, but two different. The take refuge is more like it's also return.
Yeah.
It's true. But at that point, it's more, the gui is more to kind of surrender to the Buddha or to the Sangha and to the Triple Jewel. Yeah. Chinese is very broad. Like that one word of returning, you put it into a different context, it means different things. Yes. So returning, 归依 is more relying on. So you kind of return in a way that you surrender the self. And then to rely on the Buddha and rely on the Sangha and rely on the Triple Jewel. Yes.
We also use the same zhi in the beginning, like as in the zhi, gui, ming, mi.
In zhi, xin, zhi, right?
Yeah.
In taking refuge, there's no zhi.
I think he's talking about
zi, that's self.
Yeah.
Mm.
Is it the same self like in the phrase?
No, that one is different. It's a 智. It's two different. That's two different words.
Yeah, mixed up, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. One is a self. The other one is more arriving at. Yes.
Is it helpful to know what it means? Because for me now it's just sounds and I repeat it and I feel it's helpful. But is there something to it? You know, like it's like very
I'm sure it's helpful.
words and stuff like that.
I'm sure it's helpful. Well, it's helpful to me in a way that I read it, I already have a context, even though I don't have the exact context. But yes, it would be helpful to.
Is it especially for as beginning? Then you can put it in your mind and then have like.
Right,
Because is
right.
there also a side to it that you're just filling up, even though it is the Dharma, but you're still adding?
Right. But I feel, well, if Master says, it's helpful to understand, then a lot of you will be like, but I don't understand. So that's why he says, don't worry about it. I think that's what it is, that even though you don't understand, you can still reap the benefits. Of course, it's more helpful. That's why he says you could study Chinese. Yeah. Eventually, maybe we'll have some efforts. If we have more Chinese people, we can help bridge the gap and have some classes that explains a little more. I think that would be helpful. I find it would be more helpful. The problem is more that they're ancient Chinese texts that a lot of us speaks Chinese, recognize the characters. We feel we're not qualified to explain it. That's why I haven't found anybody who's willing to help and explain. Yeah.
It was also one of my issues, I think, because on the internet and you hear everybody using the perfect words and everything, but it always felt a little bit off. Like the words are like very nice and like how it's in the sutras and things, but there's nothing behind it or something. I think here it is different, even without knowing the words. It's like impact. So that's why it always was. That's why I like this more. I don't understand it, but I like it better.
Correct. So the approach here is to build your samadhi. So once you have samadhi, if your samadhi is high enough, you can go beyond words. That's what it is. So if you starting off, you come in and then we give you a lot of knowledge, it kind of hinders you in developing your wisdom, because the words were developed to aid you to build your spirituality, not your knowledge. So that's the trade-offs. So we could give you a lot of understanding for you to base off to begin with, and that's how the Western education is. I mean, that's all education actually. That's what we do. So, but then now everybody's so stuck on knowledge, so stuck on understanding. Yeah. So that kind of hinders you from believing, from your faith. Yeah. And that's what we were kind of discussing last night too, is that a lot of questions for newcomers is to try to understand. And then because they're like, well, it has to make sense for me to cross my legs and endure all that pain. And then, I can't just go and do it and say, oh, I like it. I'm going to keep doing this. Like, no one is like that. Everyone's like, why am I spending my time doing this? So we do give you some kind of knowledge and then some kind of understanding, yeah. But to really go into sutra explanation with all the understanding, I feel it kind of become more academic. And then people now start getting stuck on the technicality of things, yeah, yes.
So it can be used as a form of expedient to get somebody going, like use some words.
Right. So like when you're asking now, and then I can explain to you because you've been doing this, so it clicks. But if like you come in and you don't know what's going on, and then we just says, you're gonna bow and this is what it means. So that's a lot of just more thoughts that we give you for you to hang on to, right? So I think that's how we're approaching this. So the good thing is Master requires you to sit and then you can ask questions, right? Instead of just give you a lot of knowledge and then say, oh, do it yourself, right? Yeah, so it helps. So it's not until you really sit and practice that when we explain to you, it will, you can put it together. Okay. Okay, we can kind of talk about, I made some slides. Maybe you have to help me flip. Okay, so I will start with, because we were talking about a lot of last night, where what is this about, and why are we enduring pain, and why are we doing this? So I'm gonna go into very fundamental Buddhism. This is based off when Buddha first did his first sermon. He talked about the Four Noble Truths, okay? So the Four Noble Truths starts with suffering, okay? And to me, when we teach Chan, we do give it an approach from teaching you how to do it first. Then once you get interested, we can start talking about a little bit why. And even though they're Buddha's words, some people would see it as religious-based. From my perspective, of course, I look biased. That I see it as truth in life. So I think it's common across the board. Suffering could be translated into different terms in Christianity, but in Buddhism here, to me, words are labels. So this is how we look at it. So there is a universal truth in suffering. So that's what Buddha talked about in the beginning, that we experience an ongoing state of dissatisfaction and afflictions in our lives. So this is a fact of life that we face every day as a human existence. So like in Christianity, they would say that, humans are imperfect, for example, and we came with sins, in Catholic. So there's different ways of explaining this, but it started with suffering, okay? So the first thing Buddha talked about is suffering, and this is the definition. And he started with a problem, okay? Living as a human being, there is a problem that we cannot solve. You can give some examples of suffering that's inevitable in our lives. Anyone?
Death of loved ones.
So being born, okay? Some of us we didn't choose to be born. Okay, that's one way to look at it. Or, being born and getting old, disease, right? And then hunger, exactly. Yes, death. Those are the big ones. And that's the four main ones that Buddha talked about. So in fact, in Buddhism, they're categorized in 8 sufferings, okay? But we'll just touch on the main ones. So there are problems in our lives, okay? So that makes us unhappy. So those are the truths in life, okay? So next.
Attachment.
Yes. Okay. So attachment could have like both sides. You could be happy to be attached to your kids, or you could be very unhappy at the same time. Okay. The second one is accumulation. So accumulation is the suffering and dissatisfaction arise from cause and conditions. So they pile on top of each other. So here it touches on the causes and conditions, meaning that there's a reason, okay, why we're unhappy, how they came about for human beings. For example, Buddha says we have greed and anger and stupidities. Those are in Buddhism are defined as 3 poisons. Those are the terminologies. So because we can't help to be angry about things, right? And we can't help to be greedy, because when there's something good is happening to us, we want more, right? No one says, I don't want, I don't want to be more happier. I always want to be happier, right? So those are the causes, and conditions are such as limitations. We were born in certain countries, for example, that like if we were born in the regions where you can see the poor regions that people are suffering, there's war, there's hunger, those are the things, are our conditions. That's what we're given with. Some of us are born short, some of us are born taller, and then some of us are healthier, some of us are can see better, smarter, those are conditions, that's what we're facing with. And those are the pre-existing conditions, okay? So there's a cause of why we have to face sufferings in our lives, okay? That's the second thing that Buddha talked about, okay? And the next one, so successions. So then the Buddha says, the ending of suffering is a real and attainable state. When afflictions and attachments are fully eliminated, suffering success and resulting in a stable state of peace and well-being. So there is a good news. The good news is that if your afflictions and attachments, they can be, the suffering can end. That's what Buddha is talking about. That when your affliction and attachments are fully eliminated, that the suffering can end. So that's the next important message that Buddha has given to you. And when Buddha says that, to tell you, that's what he really wanted to tell you, that from his cultivation and from his realization of becoming a Buddha and being enlightened, that's what he found as the real solution for ending our suffering. So that's where we call it as a liberation, okay? So from this point on is Buddha's message of telling people that all these suffering will eventually end, okay? No matter you like it or not, when you're born, you're gonna die. So that dying is an ending of an existence. So everything could be born and eventually it will die, okay? For example, in Buddhism, it talks about reincarnation, okay? Reincarnation, most people understand it as you live one life and then you reincarnate to the next life. So next life, you could become a god or an animal or whatever, a ghost or whatever. That's what Buddhism talks about. But when you look at actually the lifespan of being a human, there's a reincarnation happening every single day. Because every single day, the sun comes up and then it goes down. And then it comes up and then it goes down. So it repeats on itself. So every day you get to a point where you have to close your eyes and sleep, right? There's no way that you don't sleep. So you have to sleep, and then you will wake up. That's another day. So I look at it as every single day is also a small reincarnation of your life that you're facing, that you can't avoid. It's happening. It's you have to sleep, and then you wake up, and then your energy, you restore your energy, and then you wake up, and then you start using them to live, right? You open your eyes until one day it doesn't open anymore. Correct? So, huh? Huh? So, well, I'm trying to point out that there's something that is common in all of us that we can't escape. Okay, this is why to me, Buddha's words are the truths, because those are the truths that's happening, that everyone's facing. It's common in everybody. It doesn't matter what you believe. That's what's happening right now. That we take it for granted. Actually, that's our conditions. Actually, we just says, well, that's what it is. That's life. Okay, such as life. That's what we all say every day, and then we just says, well, those are the things we don't look at, because we look at the things that's in our control. We don't look at the things that's not in our control. What I'm trying to tell you is that that's why Buddha used one word only. In Chinese, the concept was one word. There's a Sanskrit words for each concept. And it's just like a very simple truth that if you apply it to anything meaning any dharma. So dharma is another word for things. So anything's happening in life, you can see that pattern. So that's why we tell you when your emotions, your thought arises and then it will die. Your emotion arises and it will die. Okay? So there's an impermanence about our lives. So that's that we can't deny about, that there's impermanence there. So this is what impermanence is about. Therefore, this is why Buddha says, to be happy or to suffering is there. This is what Buddha meant about suffering. So, but there's a way to end it. Okay, when you end the suffering, that's when you really start experiencing peace and bliss. Okay, so that's what actually the essence of Chan meditation. So we can go to the next. So he ended with the way, which is the last thing, where he gave us a solution, saying that basically there's a path, there's a way you can follow. And to me, I change it to cultivation, because that's what he's talking about. Basically, cultivation is the way, is the solution, is the path for us to follow, and will bring us to such state. So that's actually the fundamentals of what the first sermon that Buddha gave. And then the Buddha talks about something called the Eight Noble Truths, which is the Buddhas are talking about how to cultivate, how to start implementing the solutions, how to execute cultivation here. Oh, something's happening. Hello? Hello? Is it out of... Hello? Yeah, testing. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. So, any questions so far? Okay, we can go to the next. So then the next thing that the Buddha talked about is Eight Noble Truths. Out of Eight Noble Truths, I pick out the very last one is called the proper samadhi, okay? Which is the samadhi that Master has been talking about here. And that's what Chan meditation is to increase your samadhi. So with the proper samadhi, That's the ultimate way to help you build your strengths to face your problems and face your sufferings. So therefore, samadhi is a power of concentration, and we can go to the next slide. Okay, and this is just something we to summarize what Master talked about the other day about the 9 samadhis. Okay, so starting out, okay, to understand the levels of samadhis. When you have no samadhis, in 0 samadhis, so there's 3 realms, okay? So there's a desire realm, which is where when you have no samadhis, you're in the desire realms. You're driven by your desires. You know, I want to drink coffee. When you wake up in the morning, first thing that came to your mind is, oh, I feel tired. I need a cup of coffee. And then the coffee smells good. Those are so-called desires, okay? And then, you know, I would like to turn on a nice music that makes my mood feel better, and then encourage myself. So those are so-called your desires. So you're in the desire realms. Most of your days are driven by our desires to be comfortable, our desires to feel happy. And when we talk about we're lacking disciplines, because disciplines are not obviously the opposite of desire. Disciplines are telling yourself, I'm supposed to do this and do it right now. Disciplines are more like your willpower, okay? And when you don't have enough samadhi, it's harder to have discipline. Okay, you will find that the people who have more disciplines, because they actually were naturally having some kind of samadhis. So samadhi could be something where it's part of your willpower as well. Okay, so that's desire realm we're in. So as you increase your samadhi from there's a first till fourth, it's called the form realm. Okay, it's not very clear. It's called form realm. And that's the second part. The first, and once you get out of desire realm, that's when you start feeling peace and bliss. Before, in the desire realm, when you're drinking coffee and feeling happy, that's what everyone's so-called happiness, okay? But once you get out of desire realm, once you start having samadhi, that's when you can really experience the so-called peace and bliss, okay? And when you go higher, you go into 5th and 8th samadhi, formless realm. And then once you go above formless realm, there's the actual true liberation. In Buddhism, it's called liberation, meaning you can get to a point where you have no thoughts. Okay, stop your thoughts. That's where Master was talking about you're able to stop your thoughts. That's when you're able to stop your suffering. Okay, stopping thoughts is a form of stopping suffering. Okay, then you can go to 9th above is enlightenment. Okay, so here's a brief chart. But what I want to ask you more is about what's wrong with being happy. What's wrong with staying in the desire realms? You still have happiness. Why do I need peace and bliss? That's the question that I want to ask you about.
Isn't the attachment that is the problem?
Attachments? Yeah, but what's wrong with attachments?
They make us suffer.
They don't want too much.
Huh?
The end.
They what? The ends. Correct. Happiness is conditional. Okay. They end. Exactly. It's temporary. Yeah.
I can enjoy the coffee, but if I don't have the coffee, be okay as well.
Exactly.
I'm enjoying the tea, but if I didn't have the tea, in this right now, I'd be okay as well. Experiment. If I may.
Right. Well, yeah. So happiness could end. Okay. Peace and bliss are something where it's actually not, it's actually a more stable state of mind. So in Buddhism, happiness is also agitations, okay? And then it could end, so when happiness ends, you go back to the lacking, the not having it, right? So you don't have to be unhappy about it, but there's that the natural states of living there, okay? So happiness is something where it's conditional. It depends on something, okay? It depends on coffee. It depends on something you can grab, the external factors, exactly, okay? And when we talk about peace and bliss here, it's actually a natural state that comes within yourself, that you can naturally feel peace and don't feel like you need to grab that coffee. Okay. Yes.
Would it be like happiness is transient, depending on external factors, and peace and bliss is more permanent once you reach the first yen, or peace and bliss can also be a bit transient, depending on how you continue?
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm...
Peace and bliss is not eternally there, but it's something that comes within you. So Chan meditation will help you build that capability to go there, okay? It's not something where it's gonna be constantly there. So again, we would go back to the suffering concept, where in the human realm, in our existence, there's nothing permanent, okay? Including all this, nothing is permanent. That's just the facts of our lives, okay? But since we're also in the desire realm, we are mistakenly thinking that happiness is the solution. So therefore, Chan meditation is we're telling you that the way is actually to liberate yourself from being driven by your desires. Because desires comes within us. Yeah, we're born with desires, okay?
Don't we get attached to peace and bliss then?
Yes. So people, 4-stage arhats, there's people there's cultivators are attached to peace and bliss as well. Yes. Right.
I would want that.
Well, but I would want to know how to have peace and bliss first than worried about being attached to it, versus that, don't even know how to have peace and bliss that I can have, right? So it's actually a nice problem to have, right? To me, at least, right? So,
Having too much money.
right. Like, it's like, oh, I don't want to have too much money. People will be jealous of me, right? Therefore, I'd rather stay poor. So this is to give you a perspective. There's no right or wrong here. So, but you have to be clear about it. That the whole point is to help you understand where I'm at in terms of this.
The whole point is liberation and enlightenment.
The whole point, yeah, of course, ultimately, yes. And it doesn't mean that so you have to shave your head like us and then, strive for liberation. That's not what we're telling you here. Does that, you know what I mean? So this is why I think after 3 days, you deserve to have a bigger picture here. Yes.
What is the difference between the
Form realm and formless realm. Okay. So form realm and formless realm. So once you go above desire realm, you can start experiencing emptiness. So you've heard of emptiness in Buddhism, okay? So it's a gradation level of emptiness. So in form realm, you still are attached to forms. Okay, you still see this is real, iPad is real. Okay, it's not, it's hard for you. Master would say, okay, we're telling you it's empty, but it's real to you. Okay, but as you go higher, you are able to start seeing that it's empty to you. That's what form and formless round kind of helps you to, it's a simple way to explain it. Yes.
I'm curious, like on your level, do you also experience like bad days or like the days that you feel?
Yeah, of course.
But what's then the difference? Or yeah, I don't know. Like I'm trying to understand a bit of the level difference maybe. Because I think everyone has bad days sometimes.
Right.
Like, how does it feel in your?
So it still feels like a bad days like everyone else. However, we're able to recognize it quicker that we're suffering than people who are in a lower levels. I think that's an easier way to explain it. That there's, it doesn't mean that people in a higher level, they don't suffer anymore. Okay, Buddha, what Buddha's preaching is that you cannot rise above your karma. So when you're suffering, it's part of your karma. Okay, this doesn't absolve you from what the karmas that you have. So you will still experience bad things and bad feelings, and sometimes it's kind of cruel that Buddhism saying that you deserve it in a way because it's your karma. But you have higher awareness of what's happening with higher samadhi level, and you have a better core to deal with it. And there's all this different other solutions in Buddhism that helps you deal with your bad days. So like Master says, he used to be very depressed, and me too. I used to have depression. I was depressed that I wasn't even aware of because I was able to function in my life. But so before you take it as that's what it is and that's life, but now he can experience depression in just a split second, and he realizes right away, and then he can cut off that thought. So that's what samadhi could help you with your anxieties, your mental problems, and all this, facing your karmic obstruction, basically. Okay, it's just life, and it's facts that we all have our karmic obstructions and that we're facing, and our sufferings that we're facing. So cultivation is a way to help you deal with it better. Yes, yes. Okay.
Now you make me remember one question I had about mental illness. For example, bipolar people, if the meditation, Chan meditation heals, for example, in this case, or other mental illness.
It will help you deal with it better. It wouldn't, bipolar and all the mental illnesses that we have in Buddhism are karmic problems, meaning that you're suffering and you're having those thoughts in your mind is because of your karmic conditions from the past. Okay, you have how do I say it? You did something where, so that now you're prone to this kind of mental attack. Let's put it this way. So so cultivation will help you not heal in a way, but more understanding how to deal with such mental attack better. To a point where it almost doesn't exist. but the attacking part of it, the karmic part, it still needs to be resolved over time. And once the karmic debt has been paid off, then you are free from it. How do you resolve? Yeah, that's the next class. Yeah, that would really go into Buddhism. Yeah, that would really go into a lot more different things. But basically, it's like in Christianity, there you have sins, you have to repent and all that. There's all that solutions in different religions to help you feel better. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Can you go up and down in the pyramid?
Yes, you can.
Like in the same day? Throughout your life?
It could happen.
Be enlightened and then something happens and you go back to desire realm?
You could go back to desire realm, but I don't know very precisely how you go back and down, but it could happen. Yes. Yes. So therefore, we teach you how to maintain it. Exactly. You have to work for it. Because we're born from yes, that's our existence, right? Yeah. Yeah. that's part of, that's what it is. Therefore, it's not something where you take the elevator up and then you stay there. No, it depends on how much blessings you have. There's another term called blessing. So depending on then that's how long you can stay there. Okay? It's like, depends on how rich you are, that's how long you can stay in the mansions, right? Yeah. Right. Remember, everything is born and it could die. Okay? So, yes. There is still impermanence in this. This is the truth that doesn't change. Okay. No matter how much we wish we don't like it or whatever, how we feel about it, this is the truth. That to me. So that's why you all need to know this. Yes.
Does everybody is born with no samadhi?
No. There's people who are born with samadhis, that they don't have to go through crossing their legs. You see those Olympic athletes? Yeah, there's a lot of talent. That's where in the normal world, people say he has talents. There's people who are born with samadhis. Yeah, they're gifted. Yes, don't need to work for it. Yes.
You, for example, have a lot of blessings for, I don't know, writing good stories, but not good blessings for Chan meditation? Or can one blessing transform?
Yes. There's different types of blessings as well. Yes, there's blessings for cultivation, there's blessings for worldly wealth, there's a blessing for health, there are blessings for good looking. There's different types of blessings, yes. Uh-huh.
Now, once you are at a certain level of dhyana or samadhi, let's say the fourth dhyana, can you then choose to say, okay, now I want to go to the first, like in the elevator? Once you've access to the fourth, can you also
yes,
to go to
it
the
depends on your skills. Yeah. Yes, yeah. But if you're higher, why would you want to come down? Yeah. It's more because the condition causes you to come down. Yeah. What's happening in your world and your karma that's obstructing you. Yeah. Right? Normally, like, you don't want to come down. Right?
I was thinking if you have like a group of friends in each realm. You go to that realm.
Sometimes, yes. Yeah. And then you can go back up easy. So let's say you're up there, so you can come down and you can go back up. But if you're not there, you cannot go up, right? Yeah.
Can't you just, like we do normally, you adjust the language according to the person you're dealing with. You don't change the way you are inside or anything. If you're talking to a 5-year-old, you're still in your fourth.
Will it be as fun?
But I think it's easier to connect if you like. if you feel like you have this state of meditation and you talk to the 5-year-old, you talk differently, naturally, my observation. And then I think it might be easier to connect to him if you try to be at his way of being.
Yeah, but you're still you.
Sure,
you can adjust. You don't give
but
up
that's what I was saying.
on
You
your
can kind
level.
of
I mean,
go down and up.
Okay.
That's what I was
Okay,
talking
to me
about.
that's just adjusting.
It's a state. It's a mental state. So it's mental state changes. So sometimes when you're sick, you feel under the weather. It's harder for you to be at a higher state. So sickness is something that happens, right? And that's when it's harder. And that's why when you're sick, we tell you, cross your legs, you know? You can build up that strength from recovering from your sickness quicker. And this is why this is the skill to obtain for you to survive, basically. Uh-huh.
So, other than self-effort, are there techniques or are there masters that can pull you up?
Definitely. Like coming to temple, being with people with higher energy, it elevates your mental state how much easier.
So you don't have to work as hard.
You don't have to work as hard.
Where are they?
That's the only secret I'm gonna tell you from this session now. Yes. That's why there's temples for you to cultivate together. Okay. Actually, it's easier to maintain the state when you're in the temples. There's protections. There's people who are constantly practicing and maintain certain lifestyles. Imagine you go out drinking every night. How can you be at the, peace and bliss? Let's not forget about it, right? So there's a reason why there's certain lifestyles for monastics, okay? So it's like, I'm gonna go into, some of you took refuge where you have 5 precepts. Because what is 5 precepts for? It's not to stop you from doing certain things, it's to help you cultivate. Because when you're cultivating, if you're breaking precepts, it's like you're adding gas and then you're leaking at the same time. You see, you're applying effort to build up your samadhi power, but at the same time, you're pulling yourself back by making those mistakes, breaking precepts. Okay, so while you're obtaining the skills, I'll get to it. While you're obtaining the skills, it's good to keep precepts, okay? Or else you're wasting your efforts. You endure all that pain, and the next day you go out drinking and then party, and then, you give it all up, okay?
Like rules, okay, precepts.
Precepts are rules, yes, rules, yes. Okay, yes.
I'm thinking about the question of the levels, for example, to be more empathic. And I'm recording the Siddhartha story that in the process he goes to the world to experiment the world, the bad things, to then have the liberation. Do you know what I'm talking
No, sorry,
about?
I'm kind of, there's some parts not.
The story of Siddhartha.
Siddhartha,
That he goes to the world and experiment the bad things to liberation. It's not about empathy with how you have, if the Buddhist is to be a better person to the others, the empathy is important to know what the people feel. So how you can do it if you don't experiment or if you don't put your life in risk, has them, it's a question, I don't know.
So this is relating to when we talk about precepts, right?
No, about the question of Stefan, that you can go down, and
it has nothing to do with, going down has nothing to do with not being empathical. You can still be empathical at all levels. Okay, you can still feel what other people, in fact, as you're higher, you feel more.
How you can feel, but you can deal with it.
Yeah. So you can feel people suffering. Like, actually, the higher you are more sensitive about others' feelings. So
I'm trying to ask, like, how do you feel empathetic and solve their problem when you're not living the same life? That's what they're asking.
Yes.
So it's not black and white, actually. That's what in Buddhism, what Bodhisattva does. So there's bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas are the ones that are above ninth. They're enlightened, and they are enlightened, but they're not they're enlightened, but they're not to the level of where the Buddha is. The Buddha has the perfect enlightenment. Okay, bodhisattvas still are enlightened but have a lot of attachments. Okay, and what they do is bodhisattvas' work in Buddhism is to come to this world. They will actually vow to reincarnate as ants so they can help the ants. They would voluntarily reincarnate as animals or human beings, and then just so that they can do the same work as living beings. So this is how Buddhas and bodhisattvas help living beings, and that's how you could do the same work. So there's a whole lot different things that we could get into. If you study Buddhism, it's fascinating. It has a lot of, it's like the whole, it has its own explanation of how things works in this world. Yeah, that it could explain itself. Okay, yes. But we don't have to worry about, yeah. Those are all nice problems to have later. Yes. Okay. All right? Cool. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.